us on Heart to Heart with Spongile Mufokeng on Radio Pulpit.
That is Prophet Brenda. Prophet Brenda, you are the greatest. And we are sitting on 14 minutes just after 12 on 657 AM Radio Pulpit, your daily companion. I'm not alone. I am joined now by Pastor Lucky Lebepe in the studio. And we're going back to last week. What do you do when you suddenly get a lot of money?
Yeah, we have to go back to last week. I had a hard weekend, offended by how people. I was offended by other people's money. Have you ever been in that
You were
situation
offended by ours first.
exactly like what's Bongile says she will do with her money offended me?
Yeah.
Imagine how much offended I will be
Yeah, with
with
so
my
many
own
other
money. And you get those kind of conversations where
Yeah.
people talk about other people's money. I don't like the way they're using their money. I
Ish.
cannot believe they've done this. And you
Ish.
ask, whose money is it, by the way?
Yeah. But I love the fact that you are offended the right way.
Yes,
There's
like,
a
no.
positive offense.
Yeah, but because it really made me to say, you know what? I think I'm right. I've spoken on a lot of platforms about the need to change our psychology of money. Yeah, because for most of us, money is a medium of exchange. We just understand that when you have money, you need to let it go and get something in return. And you and your friends last week made me aware that there's another psychology to money, and people think
Is that apologetic?
it's just you have to do two things. From what I picked up from you and your friends last week, that gave me a hard weekend. It's okay. People think I just have to, pay my debts and then give with the rest. And yeah, God
Irresponsible.
and then God will see me through.
Irresponsible stewards.
It bothered me like, oh, guys, money, it's not a medium of charity or a medium of exchange. I need to emphasize what I said. If everybody can understand, there's money is a tripartite. You need to use it for three things. You must use it for the
Save.
past, for the present, and for the
Okay,
future.
yes.
That means you must save some, spend some, and give some. So if you find yourself spending all your money and you don't give nothing and you
Then
don't
it's a
save
problem.
nothing, it's a problem. But you and your friend now talked about spending and giving, and not much about saving was said last week. You talked about giving to charity and all of that.
It's a
and
problem.
The psychology that comes with that, it creates some form of financial righteousness where people feel like, because I used it to give to the poor, oh wow, it means I've done it the right way. We need to see money as a tripartite currency. Like say, spend 75% of your money, give 10%, and save 15%. That's ground level. That's when you are starting, and spending money and saving money. In fact, I wanted to say saving money is bongile, because a lot of things happened over this weekend. Apart from me being offended by
Yeah.
the people's spending habits. But a friend of mine reached out. You see, I sent you those pictures.
Yes.
And I said, look at that.
Yes.
So if you wake up early in the morning around 6,
Ish.
you suddenly know there is a what? There is a problem.
Yo.
So I reached back to this long friend of mine that I haven't seen in forever. And I said, what's wrong? I saw your missed calls. And he said, let me send you the pictures before I can even engage you. And those are the pictures he sent me. So that is his mom's house. Obviously, our listeners don't see what pictures we're talking about, but it's pictures
they
of
can
his
hear from my
mom's
ish.
house. Yeah, your ish.
Ish.
Yeah. So his mom's house. So what happens, he said, basically, listeners, his mom's house burned down. There was nothing left of it. I mean, you can see. Luckily, nobody died, but yeah, some members of his family, because 6 people were affected in that house. Some are still in hospital recovering from smoke impacts and all that. But
inhalation.
luckily, there were no physical burns and all of that. They were able to escape. But the house was on fire. And what happened is they said they had power trip or load shedding. I don't know which one it was. But when the power was restored, there were certain appliances that were still on. And I think our listeners really have to be, to watch out for this, because I'm hearing about this for the third time. I've seen people's house on flames, and I'm receiving pictures like these of houses that have burned down for probably the third time right now. And that's what happened. So when the power switched on, some appliances were on. Maybe it was a heater that was on next to a blanket. And before they know it, they were woken up by a smell of smoke. And when they opened the
It was
doors,
too late.
hey, it was on flames. It was on flames. And you can see nothing is really left of that. All the wardrobes, clothing,
Everything is
everything, it's completely gone.
Everything is gone.
And then he obviously reaches out to me and he's like, yo, I'm so confused. I'm so frustrated. I can't think up straight. I've got a lot of floods of thoughts are going through my mind. I just want to get my family a place to sleep. I don't know where I'm going to start. And I said, okay, first thing, you need to sober up. You must accept the fact that you're not going to be able to restore this house anytime soon. So you can't do that. Do you have any savings? He said, I don't have no savings. And I'm not even credit worthy and all of that. And well, I gave him some financial advices I won't go into. The point I wanted to make is his dilemma made me realize that savings is not just capital preservation or preserving a capital for business. It's risk mitigation as well, because we live in the world where a lot of things can strike you unprepared and that you never even thought could happen to you, you know. One moment I think I was talking to you and you were trying to get into your what it was at home when you were trying to get into with your car, opening the door,
Yeah,
the
and
gate,
then the gate.
and the
No,
gate.
I was going out, coming to work.
Oh, coming to work,
and the gate fell on me and the car.
oh goodness, yeah. It's who would wake up and think, I need to insure myself against a possibly falling gate, a gate that can fall. You don't think of such things. You don't think that your mom's house can be inflamed. You don't think of such things. And there are what we call blind spots, honestly. Because someone can say, for my car, I'll insure it.
Yeah.
But who insures? How many of us have insured our mother's houses really back in the townships or villages? Those houses are without insurance. And that's what happened to him. So life can throw some unexpected emergency on you that, can get you into trouble. The other thing that happened to me last week, that I started realizing the value of savings. I'm shortlisted for a particular contract, work that I must do in my business. So, and I'm already at appointment level. These people are signing off the contract for me. And then they call me, they say, look, we were just vetting your company and we discovered that your company is inactive. So I immediately called CIPRO and I said, what's happening? I never deregistered my company. They said, yes, you never did, but you did not do your returns. And, life gets so busy, you forget about filing for returns, not SARS returns. This is CIPRO now,
CIPRO.
the annual ones. And I've not done that in 2 years. And and they tell me, listen, you have to then reinstate your company. This is how much it's going to cost you to do that.
Yeah.
And with a contract that is on the line, you can understand the frustration. Luckily, I was able to access some savings funds and get it out of the way. I'm just giving all of these examples to show you that, saving is really plan B, honestly.
Yeah.
And when in fact, I would say it's plan A. And when you don't have a savings account and you don't have any place where you put in money, then when you find yourself in these unexpected emergencies, you don't have plan A. There's nothing for you to do. And it can imagine a house that went down in flames. And he was saying, look, I wish I had money to just buy them some blankets because it's winter in the Free State, just to warm them up. I wish I had money to just check them into a guest house for a week while I'm trying to figure out what to do next. And it's horrible when all of these things is happening to you. And the last message he sent to me is like, I've never felt so naked in my life. And that's really what happens when you do not have savings as a plan A, I would say, plan A, where you need to go into that and really sort it out.
Yeah.
And then from last week, the other problem, except the fact that people don't realize the tripartite currency of money. Spend some, give some, save some. And I just told you that savings is more than just capital preservation. It's now risk mitigation, because risk and unforeseen circumstances do happen, and you're not mitigated. The other sad story that happened, all of this happened over the weekend. I'm a pastor. Also a financial consultant. So you get people talking to you from different angles. So this lady calls now from my church. She's like, in fact, the daughter calls like, so she just had poor health. She couldn't really understand what was going on. And like I usually do, I would pray for a person, but we also want to know medically what we're dealing with. And then I would refer them to a hospital. Go get yourself checked up. And it just so happened that because she went to a public hospital or clinic, they really couldn't help her much. There are no doctors, there's no facilities. You wait up for 4 hours in the queue while you can hardly feel your legs and all of that. That's what she went through. And she said, I can feel my heart not pumping normally. It's like I'm running out of air. And you could see her on the pictures that she's really not in a good place. And I then said to her, because some of these public facilities don't have facilities, and they would not be able to help you with certain, chronic conditions you find yourself in. And I said, it would have been good if you could go and maybe see a specialist, or maybe go to a private institution where there's better facilities and personnel to get you checked. And what happens again? There's no plan A, no savings. And it comes from a very disheartening statistics. It says that statistics shows that South Africans spend over 70% of their income servicing debts. They spend over 70% of their to work, commute to work. You still need groceries, lunch boxes for your kids. You're not going to do that with the remaining 30%. And that's why so many of us are in such a crisis. And I understand where you and your friends came from last week when you said, yeah, if I get 1 million, I'll pay off all my debts. Because the reality of the matter is, we are all, we've all had it with debts, especially in a consumer-based economy like South Africa, where most of us or most people depend on credit, for anything, for clothes, for cell phones, for airtime, for absolutely everything. Then your friend says the solution is, once I get money, whether from all these sources we mentioned, if I get lump sum, I'll pay off my debts and I will give with the rest of it. Now, I'm going to say today, that's bad. That is mismanagement. That's dangerous. That's going to get you back into
Not good stewardship.
It's going to get you back into financial trouble. The most important thing to do after you've paid off your debts, I don't want people after this show to think that, well, Pastor Lucky said, as a financial expert, that the best thing to do with your money is to eradicate debts. That's just one of the things to do, to pay off your debts. But if you're going to have money and pay off your debts without creating an income generating asset, that's what I want us to focus on today. Creating an income generating asset, something that will generate income. Because you see, money comes and money goes. That's why we call it currency. It comes and goes. And money, it's a visitor. It's not a permanent member of your family. It will come month end, and 3 days after payday, it's gone. So if you had 5 million, whether from Provident Fund, from a settlement, from a business transaction, wherever you found that money from, and all you did was to pay off your debts, as long as you do not have an asset that keeps the money coming
You're
in
going to
every
find
month,
yourself back to square
you're
one.
going to find yourself back to square one, and then you will be at the very same position that once necessitated a debt. Remember, you are in debt right now because something happened that necessitated a debt in your life that made you to see no option rather than basically getting a debt. A gentleman like this, his mom lost the house. So what's the next thing I'm going to do? I'm going to go and find a debt. In fact, when he spoke to me and he said, this is what I'm thinking of doing. And
Getting a loan?
Yes. And then I said, don't do that. And I'll tell you why. I said, the best thing that I would do if I were you, my mom lost the house. And I'm sure he reached out to me because he needed some form of financial advice, right? I said, maybe what you could do is to, at the backyard, build 2 rooms.
Okay.
Where your mom and your sister could be in one room.
Whilst
and
fixing
then,
the big house.
Yes.
Okay.
And then give yourself a space of a year or 2 even to sort this house out. Because I said, the problem with going into debt, especially if you are taking debt to service or repair or revamp a house, there will always be blind spots. There will be things, underestimation. You might look at it and from your eye and you estimate and say, I think I'm going to need her. Let me see. Listen, you are not a contractor.
You can't.
And people do that a lot. Let me look at this. I think with 70,000, I can do this. The roof, it's done. And then you start. By the time you get 100,000, then they put up an interest, very high interest on that you need to pay. And then you realize, when I thought about the roof.
So you're going to need another on top of.
Because you didn't think about the laborers and how much they're going to charge you.
Yeah.
You didn't think about the cost of transportation. You didn't think about the tiles. A whole lot of blind spots. And before you know it, here you are with an unserviced debt that still need to be paid with interest and a project that is undone. That's very common. I've seen people starting things that they don't finish.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse, they still even have a debt to service on top of that.
Yeah.
So I said to him, listen, relax. This is not a crisis that it's unplanned. It's an emergency. So treat it as such. Don't try to fix it now. You just have to speak to your family and they should be grateful for the fact that you are willing to step in and assist. But build 2 rooms, get them in there and give yourself a very long time where, on your own pace and in your own way, you can start, fixing this thing. But the thing I really want us to emphasize today is I looked at this documentary of people who blow their millions and I said the dangerous thing that me and you and maybe
and those ones don't even pay their debts off.
No, they do.
Some don't. Most don't.
You just made me realize that I was right.
Don't.
Most of us, Bongile, and probably a lot of listeners there, think that, these people are just so senseless people with their money. But I've watched them closely.
They were never prepared, Murut.
No,
Nobody prepared them.
But you know what you and your listeners said last week? And your friends. What you guys said made me realize that most people would likely be like them. Because,
of course,
you know what they do? I've checked them closely. I've seen that they actually do pay off their debts. They do.
Okay, but some don't.
And then, this is what they do when I say they pay off their. They do buy a house cash so that at least they don't have to, do bond to bond, right? And secondly, they buy cars cash. Because they're thinking, at least I don't have to pay
part
installment.
of the ones that we've been watching on television.
Yeah.
Let me say 80% of them
even bought a house.
Didn't own a house, didn't own a car.
But you see what I've realized? Some of them actually did. When the money came, they bought a house and then they bought a car. But when the money ran out, they then went back to sell those very same houses and cars that they bought. Why? Because the missing link here, which is what I want to show everybody, is that even though they thought it was good financial practice to buy things cash so that they can own those things, the biggest mistake they did, which a lot of people will do, is that they did not create an income generating asset.
Okay.
That's
so
the problem.
One person asked me a question last time and said, when Muruti is talking about an income generating
asset,
and a person says no, What if I just take the money and not create any
Any
of
income
that?
generating
Yeah, but
asset.
if I know that 40,000 or whatever thousand goes out from my salary or from my income every month, why do I not just save the whole? Because I'm used to it now. Because
How
my
long is it gonna
mind,
sustain you? Remember, even if
because
you
my
say
mind
no, no,
knows
no, no,
it.
this
Yeah.
is bad practice too. Imagine
Yeah.
the person is saying, if I have 1 million, I'll put it in the savings account and pay myself a salary from that. It's gonna run out at some point. It might take a year or two, depending on what you want to pay yourself as salary. But ultimately, it's gonna run out. And we know what people always do. When you know you have money at your disposal somewhere, whether in a unit trust or a money market account, when you know that I've got access to money other than my salary, every time there's an emergency, you will be in the queue in the bank
Getting
for an early withdrawal. Like, yeah. And they'll tell you, we're going to penalize you because it's against
oh
this
yeah.
unit.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
care about penalties. And then
Yo,
that's how you're going to
yo,
access
you're
that money.
losing more.
Imagine
Yeah.
if you were in this guy's position,
It's just like
whose
somebody
mom.
who's on 32 days notice, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You sound like you're speaking from experience.
Yeah. Yes.
You always go and,
And they penalize
prematurely.
you.
Exactly. So imagine if you were like this guy whose mom's house just came down on the flame and you had this 2 million in your money market account. What were you going to do? Most people will say, I will put my family in a hotel for the whole month and then I'll withdraw and just, that's how you're going to get broke, just like that. So putting money must never be liquid, guys. No, once money it's readily available in your account, I can
Then it's
tell
a
you, you are going
problem.
to take it. But if you hide your money in an asset, you make it, you sort of make it difficult for you to access it because it's not in a liquid form. It's in an asset form. So that's why people convert their money into an asset, like they buy a property and then rent out that property. So it's a property, and then it gives you about 10,000 as rent per month, which you then use as your salary. And the property is worth 2 million. But it's better to have it locked up in an asset form than to have it in an account. Having money sitting in an account, it's like becoming a money truck yourself. The chances that you're going to get hijacked, bombed by life are so many. You always, wise people and rich people. That's why when we say a person is a millionaire, we don't mean cash millionaires. We mean net worth millionaire. It means the value of the assets they have amount to millions. That's what makes them a millionaire. Not cash lying in the account. That's liability. That is risk. That's unwise to keep money in your account. The banks are going to charge you for holding that money for you, and life is going to constantly demand you to make withdrawals from that. So you have to then convert it into an income generating asset. But one of the things I want to mention is, some people say, well, I've just learned a new word, income generating asset. So I'm going to find an income generating asset. Now, people's bongile make big mistakes again when they create income generating assets. The one common mistake is, I'll tell you, for example, if I were to give you 1 million now, Zbongile, and say, go start a business, what business were you going to start? Really? Tell me.
I'm not going to answer.
Okay. All right. What I wanted to, the wise thing to do would be for you to start a business that is in line with what you are doing right now. So if you have access to money because you are a media personality, invest in media. That's all. Don't go and do something that you don't know. You've never done it before. You just heard people saying
It works.
a filling station has money, a bread bakery, and then you go and open a bread bakery. No. That's the worst mistake that people do. One guy came to my office the other day and he had lots of money from RAF. And he said, I've bought a house cash. I bought a car cash. You see, they do that because those are needs. You need a car, you need a house. So everybody will start there. And don't ever think you are wise because you bought a car and a house.
It
No,
feels good.
Everybody would do that. Don't you ever think you are a
It
smart
feels wise.
person.
It feels smart.
99% of us will do
We'll
that.
do the same.
Come on.
Yeah.
There's something better than that. So he then says, I'm going to create, because I've heard you talk about income generating asset, IGA. I'm going to buy one. I said, what is it? He says, I'm going to start a filling station. I said, filling station? To start it? He said, yes. I said, so you are going to start it from scratch? He says, yes, I saw a land somewhere. I said, oh, ho, ho. Listen, you don't live in that country. Leave this country of filling station. You don't live there. Do not ever try to use, guys, it's painful to lose money. And one of the quickest way to lose money is to throw it into a strange basket.
What so is it better to consult before? Because right now Moruti has been using examples like buying an estate or whatever, and people would like to I'm going to do that.
Yes.
And they never
They don't understand.
They don't understand.
For example,
there are
one
levies
guy
to be paid and other
one
things.
guy
in that.
asked me, and the other guy said, me, I think the thing that will make a lot of money for me is Forex trading. But are you a Forex trader? Do you really understand Forex? Do you understand
trading on its own? Markets and all that.
Do you understand? So that's why I'm saying, don't step out of your zone.
Okay.
The truth of the matter is, before you have access to money, you already have a skill.
What about investing? Others say you should invest.
Yes, but in what? That's the question. Invest in what? Invest in a skill that you already have at the moment. If you are a teacher,
some don't talk about the skills.
If you are a principal or a teacher and you've got access to money, go and open a school.
Okay.
Invest in a skill that you already possess. Don't go into a foreign skill. You're going to lose money. Because
there are those other kinds of investments where you can buy shares, where you can, people go for such as well.
Okay, that's good if a person is going to put it in the stock markets or so forth. But fine, that's a discussion for another time.
All right.
I tell this guy who says he wants to open a filling station, I said, hey, do you know that you need 5 licenses before you open a filling station? Licenses. A friend of mine came.
And how much is one?
Yeah. These are professional fees that you have to pay. It's like, I'm not even talking about having a building approval for that filling station you want to build and having the zoning rights and the business. No, I'm just talking about like the retail licenses and all the authorizations for. There's so many of them that you need. A gentleman came to my church yesterday and we had a chat after church, and he says he got lots of money from a project. So he went straight to the Kruger Park, and then he started building a guest house outside of the Kruger Park. But he didn't know that you don't just buy land, and then because it's now your land, you can do whatever you want. He said he started digging the foundation. And while he was digging, he sees green scorpions. You know, these people we call green scorpions from the department. They arrive. They said to him, where is the environmental authorization for this? He says, environmental what? This is my land. You can't ask me for such. You understand? Because he was completely ignorant of the fact that in this industry, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things that are required.
You can even find yourself having to bring down the whole building after building.
Bring down the whole building because you got it all wrong. There's things you were not
supposed to do and aware of.
When I started in the development space, there was one moment where I submitted a building plan to the municipality. And I thought, wow, the government is the government that is giving service to its people. And by the time I submitted the building, they said, you need to pay a processing fee for this building plan. In my mind, I'm thinking 1,500. They say, no, you pay per square meter. It was 140,000 rand. After I paid the 100, they say, no, that was for the building plan. We need another one for the SDP. That was over 60,000 rand. So imagine, close to what? 200,000
There are
rand.
engineers to be paid as well.
You have not started drawing the building. You have not started building. You see the thing you go through with building a church. You haven't even started putting a brick. Yet you need close to 500,000 must leave your account on just making sure that whatever
Everything
you're
is in
going to build,
place.
it's
Yeah.
building compliant. So imagine if you
It's
don't know,
compliant, yes.
you don't know that, you just start. So one lady also calls me. She says, "Listen, I want to start a B&B, because people are making it. I saw another guy on YouTube. He says he's making it with with Airbnb, and he says I need That's why, guys, it's important for you to get financial advice. It's not 1 + 1 is 2. Finances will. Hey, you would think there is witchcraft in your life. The way finances can dribble you.
So
And,
true.
and put you offline. You can think that there are people with spells that don't want to see you successful, and they came to take off your money. I remember in one of those documentaries, this other guy said, after I spent my last 100 rands, which I used to go and drink, I felt something like a wire leaving my head. Like he said, there was like a wiring that he felt as if he's been loosed of that wire. So people spiritualize it. But I tell you, the spirituality of money, it's knowledge. The Bible says, without knowledge,
My people perish.
my people perish.
Yeah.
You will perish in money. You will make bad financial decisions, not necessarily because there's a witch that doesn't want you successful, but when you do not invest in consumer education, financial literacy, financial education, you are going to make so many financial mistakes. And I don't think there's anything on earth that depresses us close to loss of money. That I've seen sending people to alcohol, to drugs, even having some people end up in the street as street kids because they just could not marry the thought of so many millions that they have lost. The loss of money has made some people become murderers and hitmen because of that. So you really need to be very careful when you get access to this money. The favor you can do to yourself is get a professional person in the financial space to really speak to, find out whether what you think to do is the right way of doing things.
Right.
Otherwise, you're going to end up with so many things that are not gonna go accordingly.
Yeah. Yeah. Ish. And when it comes to, okay, you said we will talk about investments in another.
No, but you're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So what is it that you check? Because there are people who say, I'm not that kind of a person. I wouldn't want to be following up on whatever or buying or selling or doing whatever business-wise. But I would like to just invest and let it grow.
Yes.
Put it into some bonds or some, So what is the best way of going about
Again,
doing that?
it goes back to investment finance, the knowledge of investment finance. Bongile, there's two things I'll say on that. There is no investment that is risk-free. Every investment you will ever make, whether it's stock markets, whether it's equity shares, bonds, whether you go real estate, all these investment platforms have their own risk attached to that. And you need a lot of sort of education and experience in those fields, to really understand what you're getting yourself into. For example, someone had money, and we talked about this one time at the show. An investment scam comes.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember. And it looked so legit.
Yes. So a person comes to you and say, you can buy shares in this company, and then your payout is going to be this much, or your dividends are going to be this much. But do you even know what dividends are? Do you know how market behaviors affect shares, equity, and pricing? You really need information. And sometimes people talk big figures and jargon, like big job breakers, and you hear equity, you hear return on investment, rate of inflation. And they tell you all of these things, and you believe them because they sound knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And you surrender your money to them. Oh my God. Before you know it, they are nowhere to be found. Or they have got more intelligent explanation as to why your money is gone. They will use all the economic terms to tell you why you're not going to get your money back. So at the end of the day, investing in, that's why I'm saying to people, the biggest thing you can trust is your own experience. Because let's be fair and honest, Spongile. Are you aware in a diverse economy like South Africa, everyone who's doing everything is successful? There are people who are, I met the guy in Cape Town, the CEO of a waste company who started as a waste picker. He was just picking, these guys who you meet in the street pulling a trolley full of waste. The guy started as a street kid. Now he's a CEO of a multi-million rand waste company that is on JSE. So what I'm saying is this: invest in what you know. Invest in what you know. Invest in the skill that you already possess. If you have a skill of doing hair, don't say, no, because I have 2 million now, I'm not going to waste time making people's hair. It's making my legs tired. Invest in what you already know, the space that you are already in. Everyone in South Africa is successful. Waste pickers are people who deal with chicken, they are successful. There's ridiculous stuff. One guy once told me, I don't understand this, people who are selling cell phone gadgets and accessories and chargers. How do they afford rent? In a mall, malls are so expensive. I don't understand how a person pay rent from selling chargers and phone covers. Everybody's successful. Even people who sell caps. Even people who sell tomatoes on the side, they are all successful. The secret of success, it's not to do A and avoid doing B. It's doing what you know how to do best. And anything you know how to do best, whether it's doing people's hair, whether it's makeup, whether it's talking on radio, whether it's designing people's plans, if you stick to your craft and your skill, and you finance it and you develop your skill in what you know, you're going to be successful. The biggest problem we do is once we have access to money, we become adventurous. We want to go to places that we don't know and risk money in spaces that we have no information about. And God is so gracious that before he gives you the money, he allows you to be exposed to a particular place, a particular skill set. Definitely, he will give you that time. You might have spent 10 years in the education space or the education industry because that's where your wealth has to come from. It's a big mistake to now jump off from that industry and feel I've got access to millions. Now, all of a sudden, I'm going to become a trader online. Do you even know what's going to happen there? Do you have the patience? Do you have the risk appetite to actually go through the losses and the education that, it's in that space or not? So I'm saying generating income asset, all good and well.
Yeah.
But you know what? Play within your space.
Yeah.
Money, it's so precious. You cannot afford to lose money in this tough economy. And you cannot afford to make bad financial mistakes. So, stop these things of trying to jump off the broom and go into spaces that you hardly know what's going on in there. Imagine me trying to invest in radio. It's not a bad thing to do, but for someone who is ignorant and who's not in that space, it's not good for me. I need to find something that is already within my space, and then I can tell you exactly how it's going to work. I think when you think of generating assets, please think about that.
Think about that. Hi, my friends say I'm not quite sure. A person at her on WhatsApp say she must buy a ticket 200 till 1,000 to get 4,000 tomorrow. Something like that. Those are money quick schemes.
Oh, yeah, ne. We always say, you and I, Bongile, if it sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true.
It is too good to be true.
Someone once called me and said, true story, Lucky, give me 1 million. I was happy to think they think that I can give them 1 million. I felt very proud that, this person believes. Oh, that means I look like money because they believe. Someone is calling you now. People are busy asking people 50 rands. The person happens to ask you for 1 million, and they believe you can just press your phone button.
And just 1 million.
I felt like, my goodness, I felt like I am Warren Buffett together with someone else, these millionaire guys. For someone to think like that. But guess what they are saying to me? Give me that 1 million tomorrow around 6 in the afternoon. I'll give it back as
2 million.
1.250. And I said to him, what kind of an emergency are you in that you can't wait for tomorrow 6 o'clock? You know what? Wait for tomorrow 6 o'clock and save 250. Are you promising me 1.250? Just wait for tomorrow. And listen, no one can be passionate about making you a millionaire more than yourself. Let me say that again. No one can be passionate about making you a millionaire
unless
more than yourself. So that means if I sound, Sbongile, more passionate and pushy about you making money, it's a scam.
More than me.
It's a scam. Because how don't I have sisters to make millionaires? Why should I be calling you when you are sleeping and say, hey, wake up, money is passing by?
Yeah.
No, once a person say that, it's a scam, because they should be thinking about themselves and their mothers and their cousins and their sisters. Why me, of all these people in your life? Why not your spouse? Why can't you give it to your husband? Why can't you shake him off the bed and say 4,000 is passing by if you don't give me this 2,000 today? No. I don't take that.
Yeah.
And listen, you have to be money proof when it comes to such things. Let your skin be desensitized, like feel nothing. Don't fall for such push. And that's why you need to be very secretive about money. Once you have it, master, zip your mouth. Never say anything to anybody. And it's just that money has got its own signals. When you have it here and there, we will see that, Sbongile. So this car, you understand, there might be signs here and there, but do try your best. And I always say to people, real millionaires are insensitive. Have you realized that? Do you have people who have money?
They don't just give.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
If you have millionaires as friends, just like I do, most of them will not help you.
Even if they might have given for charity, maybe you were
But
busy
they
with
will
charity.
not- yes.
But now you come with your personal.
They will never.
They'll be like, oh.
Yes.
So what are you going to do?
Yeah. I also developed a skill because I'm having a millionaire's mindset.
Yeah.
You come with your crisis, I put my hand on your shoulder. I said, don't worry, God is with you, my sister.
Yeah.
With God, all things are
All
possible.
things are possible.
Then I walk away, as long as he's not going to take money from me.
Yeah.
My second principle is your emergency is not mine. Is yours. Now that sounds inhuman.
No, that's good for us. Cherry baby, getting notes. She was laughing earlier on when you said Swangil and your friends. Okay, Moruti, our time is so.
Oh, wow.
Weldon Hendricks, yeah. We'll just give you Moruti's numbers just now. Mam Nicolene, hi Swangil, like he's so true. My uncle used to lend our tents, but when I got his money, he started a clothing business. It did not end well.
In South Africa, we say it ended in
tears.
Sorry, we are not laughing at your uncle. Please.
But
it's a
mom
South African slogan.
Mom is also laughing.
That's fine.
Muruti, where do we get hold of you? Okay. I don't think we are
all
done.
Right. Oh,
I don't
yes.
think we. I don't.
No,
think
we can't be. We can't be. We can't be. 071 352 4581.
071 352
4581.
Weldon 071 352 4581.
That's a WhatsApp text. Yeah,
that's for WhatsApp. Okay, that's for WhatsApp. You can just send a WhatsApp. I think we all need such education, right? We do.
I like the way you say. I was actually thinking about you on the weekend. That every time I say something to you, she go. It's like I hear you. It's getting in.
Muruti, what do we say in closure though?
Okay. Money is a tripartite. So use it for three things. Money is a tripartite currency. Use it for three things. Give some, save some, and spend some. And when you have a lot of money, pay off your debts, but most importantly, build an income-generating asset. And when you build your income-generating asset, build it within the scope of your skill sets. I pause.
Wow. Moruti, thank you so much for coming through, challenging us, educating us. May God awesomely keep you. Your book again?
My book, Life After Death, A Guide to Wealth Creation and a Debt-Free Life. It's available via the same WhatsApp number.
Number,
Yes.
yeah.
Send us a text to that WhatsApp number, then we'll get it to you, yes.
Are we back again next week, Monday?
We are here in
Okay.
spirit and in truth. We are here.
Amen to that. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Moruti. Have a
Okay.
blessed one.
Thank you.
We're going to curb it here with Moruti Lebepe today. Do remember that you can find him on 071 352 4581. If you'd like to even have the book, that's where you would just make your WhatsApp 071 352 4581.
Come live the life at 657 AM.
657 Radio